It's based on the idea of creation, you know, as in the book of Genesis. And the first window is void.
When you go inside, you'll see how cramped it is in there. But, if you're sick and injured, anything would be... and it wasn't air conditioned, so it'd be pretty hot.
Now, a lot of things you can just walk past, you know, they don't look like much. I mean, that's a really ordinary green leaf, doesn't look like much. But this is actually rather special plant. And if you see here, you can see little pods, and there's one's growing here. There's a bigger one up there. And when they get to a kind of yellowy colour, that's when they ripe. And this is cocoa. So we're talking chocolate here, so it's actually rather important. Native to Central America, I think it was the Mayans, they used to make a drink out of it, they'd mix it with peppers and so on, more of a savoury thing. I think it was a Dutch fellow who worked out how to add milk and sugar and made chocolate. Thank you. This one is called a litter collecting palm, and I love the symmetry of it. And it's sort of like corrugated iron before we invented it. Back scratcher ginger. Okay, so the theory is you'd cut it off down here and use it as a back scratcher, but it's actually too sharp, it's pointy, and it would cut you and scratch you open. Now the thing about the gardens too, being like a rainforest, there's so much tucked in here, there's a lot of things you can miss. If you look behind here, this plant here doesn't look like a lot, but that's actually a vanilla orchid. So, you know, vanilla essence comes from the seed pods of that plant.
We use the tablelands. Now the river's approximately 140 kilometres in length, and we're about 12 kilometres from the coast at this point. Now it is tidal for about the first 30 kilometres, navigable by boat for around the same distance. As far as depth is concerned, it varies like all rivers do. There are places that I will struggle to get through at low tide, so less than half a metre of water.
It's actually a nest. It's not active at the moment, but it's a nest of one of two birds, either the orange-footed rainforest fowl or the orange-footed scrub fowl. Now, the orange-footed, just the common scrub turkey. Now, the orange-footed rainforest fowl is a little bird about this big. It's got bright orange legs, chocolate brown plumage, and basically they pair up for life. They argue like married couples, they squabble and do it, but they do absolutely everything together. And if one of the partners is to die, they quite often fret and die themselves. But they'll have about 5 or 6 pairs nesting on a nest this size. Situation, if you had to, I wouldn't really because there's a creek just down the bottom there, but if you had to and you run out of water, chop these vines off. They actually store quite a lot of water inside the vine, and it is drinkable. And it was used as a last resort if times were quite hard as far as water goes, and just drink the water out of these. The cassowary plum, if you or I were to eat it, it has got very powerful and complex alkaloids in it. That if we were to eat it, it ulcerates your stomach, causes internal bleeding and a lot of other medically complicated situations that you end up in. It's not good. But there's around 85 different varieties of fruits that grow here in the rainforest, and out of those, there's 35 that rely wholly and solely upon the cassowary to distribute their seeds. This is one of them. When this guy's in full fruit, the cassowaries come out and you quite often see them sitting there gorging themselves on the fruit. And the cassowary is the only bird or animal that is big enough to eat the seed whole, because they eat them whole. They walk through the rainforest, poop it out the other end, and a bit of luck it germinates and grows into another one of these big beautiful trees. Now if the cassowary were to become extinct, their numbers are only around 2,500, give or take a bit in the wild. Their numbers have never been huge, but they're only around 2,500 in the wild, and they're only found just below Tully, right up to Cooktown, and then there's another mob 800 k's further north from here in Iron Range, and apart from that there's 2 subspecies in New Guinea as well.
Won't be long and I'll let you know.
You're going to explain them to us?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a big one too, look at that, huh?
But because of our marvellous climate here, plenty of rainfall, plenty of sunshine, they flourish. We picked these up in Mossman on the way through this morning. We'll start with the easiest one. The ananas, if you happen to come from Europe, is right. Ananas. Okay, commonly called pineapple, native to Brazil, and that has been grown locally. The bananas, quite a few different bananas scattered around the world. Now they grow in Africa, India, through Southeast Asia, New Guinea, down into Australia. 2 varieties growing naturally in Australia, both of which are very dry, very woody, put it seeds, not worth eating. But this variety is Cavendish. Back in 1828 there was 2 plants taken from Mauritius, right? Taken to Lord Cavendish in London, and these all that you see in our supermarkets today, all the Cavendish bananas are derived from those original 2. Papaya, native to Central America. That particular variety though is called Hawaiian solo, meaning it was bred in Hawaii, and the reason it's called solo, you only need 1 plant because it produces both male and female flowers. Normally with papaya you need a male plant and a female plant, so you get that cross-pollination. But this guy has both, so therefore it always fruits. Beauty, eh? Hawaiian solo. Now there's a Mexican-Spanish word meaning soft and spreadable, as in the case of soft and spreadable fruit. That name is sapote. This is the mammy sapote, the mammy of all soft spreadable type fruit. Or in South America they just call him mamey. Now the time to eat them, once it started to germinate, okay? So there's a little shoot there, it started to germinate. Those 3 seeds came out of that 1 fruit.
Wow.
Now that was a brownish, sort of furry looking fruit of about that sort of size, okay? So the mammy sapote. This one is called a Rollinia, the Amazon custard apple. Would you believe that native one in China comes from China, that one? No. Amazon comes from the Amazon, being called the Amazon custard apple, also known as Rollinia. Pitaya, the dragon fruit, also known as the mother-in-law fruit. Alright, grows on the climbing cactus, comes from Mexico. And the carambola, star fruit, most people would know that as, but here in Queensland we call him 5 corners. Because most times they got 5 corners. I haven't counted them all, but occasionally they'll throw in a 6 corner one for you. Okay, so you know what we got, eh? Oh, from Indonesia. That one, carambola or star fruit. So you're right with that, aren't you? Pineapple, banana, papaya, mammy, rollinia, pitaya.
Carambola.
Yeah, 5 corners or carambola. Alright, there you go, you know what you're going to eat now, you can help yourselves.
That's the bit. Now stop.
Him and Sam do a job, right? I'm impressed.
Can I stop now?
One
There you go. As usual, didn't really work. So what you do is you get this magic stick. I just happen to have this one. This is a modern magic stick. Give it a tap on the side. And what that does, it tells everybody in camp that the billy is boiled, and it also gets the stubborn ones to drop down to the bottom. Now, if you'd like a cup of tea, come over and see me, and while I'm dishing that out, John's got something else for you. Just in case you have a
Look at that. Sultanas, cinnamon, bit of apple, bit of pineapple sometimes too. Authentic too, look at that bit, kangaroo food. Now to that we're going to add a bit of golden syrup though. Really? Yeah, going to add a bit of golden syrup, just a bit like maple syrup, only better. Hey listen, I told you it was going to be fresh, look at that silver tray. Okay, probably a good idea to get in and grab a bit of this, drink a cup of tea before it gets too wet.
gotta go oi. Oi! Oh, did you have a good day? Have you paid all your money? Will we see you again? We never see you again. Alright guys, there's complimentary cheese and cookies for the bar here. The more you drink, the better I sound. Now later on we're going to have a competition. And there's some big prizes to be won. Big prizes. Now we're talking a household full of furniture. And a frozen chicken. So stick around. How about this? He's a little song guy, I wanna sing it, no phone, don't worry.
He's a chef.
All together. Come on, I need it. In life there is some trouble. If you're still wearing your bikinis, it brings you trouble. Don't worry. All together. Be happy. Come on. Don't worry, be happy. Don't worry. Be happy, Dad. Don't worry, be happy. Don't worry.